When you think about the Boeing 787, it's easy to just see another airplane. But that's not really the story here. This plane wasn't just another model off the assembly line. It was a revolution. We're talking about a $30 billion all-in gamble on a completely new vision for air travel, a bet that changed everything about how we fly.
See, for decades, the name of the game was bigger is better. You had these absolute behemoths like the 747 and the A380. The whole system was built on a hub-and-spoke model. You'd fly from your city to a massive hub like Chicago or London, then catch another flight. But the 787, well, it represents a totally new breed. It's built for what we call point-to-point travel, flying directly between cities, opening up routes people never thought possible, and thankfully, making those dreaded connecting flights a lot less common.
And let's be clear, this was a massive, massive gamble. Imagine sitting at the world's highest stakes poker table and just pushing all your chips into the middle. $30 billion. Boeing literally bet the company's future on this new philosophy. And as we're about to see, it was a bet that completely reshaped the entire industry.
So where does a revolution like this even start? Well, it all begins with the very material the plane is made of. This wasn't just a minor upgrade, it was a complete teardown and reimagining of what you could build an airliner from. And when you look at the actual recipe for a 787, it's unlike any plane that came before it. Over half of its entire weight, 55%, is made from composite materials. This made it the very first commercial airliner built primarily from these advanced materials, a huge leap away from the traditional aluminum bodies we are all used to. So what exactly are composites? Well, picture this. You take thousands of tiny carbon fibers, each one thinner than a single human hair. On their own, they're pretty flexible, but when you weave them together and bake them in a super strong plastic resin, you get this incredible new material. A material that's 5 times stronger than steel at just a fifth of the weight. And that's where the magic happens. Instead of taking, say, 1,500 different sheets of aluminum and riveting them together with 40 to 50,000 fasteners, just think about that. Boeing could now build huge sections of the fuselage as one solid piece. No more joints, no more rivets. This made the plane lighter, way more aerodynamic, and, this is crucial, almost completely immune to the metal fatigue that constantly plagues aluminum planes. Now here's where that strength has a direct impact on you, the passenger. Because the fuselage is so much stronger, it can handle higher pressure inside. On a normal jet, the cabin is pressurized to feel like you're at 8,000 feet. But on the 787, they can lower that all the way down to 6,000 feet.
Okay, so a 2,000-foot difference. That sounds like a technical detail, right? But what does it actually feel like for you sitting in your seat for 8 hours?
It means everything. It means your body absorbs more oxygen, so you get fewer headaches, less dizziness, and you just feel less exhausted when you land. It also means less bloating and a dramatic reduction in jet lag. Oh, and one more thing. Because composites don't fatigue around cutouts the way aluminum does, Boeing could install those iconic, absolutely massive windows.
But the benefits of these wonder materials didn't just stop with the body of the plane. They also completely unlocked a radical, and I mean radical new way to design the wings.
To really get this, we have to talk about something called aspect ratio. It sounds complicated, but it's pretty simple. It's just the ratio of a wing's length to its width. So a high aspect ratio means you have long, skinny wings, kind of like you'd see on a super efficient glider, and the whole point is to cut down on drag. And here's where you can see the difference. The 787's predecessor, the excellent Boeing 777, had an aspect ratio of about 9. The 787? It pushes that all the way up to 11. Now that might not sound like a huge jump, but in the world of aerodynamics, that is a massive leap forward. And it's a leap that was only possible because of the strength of carbon fiber.
Just how strong and flexible are these new wings? Well, during some pretty extreme stress tests, engineers were able to bend the wingtips upwards by a staggering 7.6 meters. That's 25 feet before they even came close to breaking. It's that incredible blend of strength and flexibility that makes the super efficient design work.
All right, so the revolution wasn't just in the materials. It was also in the power systems. Boeing basically decided to rip out all the old, heavy, and inefficient plumbing that powered traditional jets and replace it with something much, much smarter. Here's the difference. For decades, planes ran on what's called a bleed air system. They'd siphon off hot, compressed air from the jet engines and pump it through this heavy, complex network of ducts to power things like air conditioning and de-icing. But it's super inefficient and it robs the engines of power. The 787 just threw that entire concept out. Instead, it uses a powerful electrical system that's lighter, way simpler, and twice as efficient, running everything from the cabin lights to the brakes.
And to make this all-electric dream a reality, it needed a truly incredible amount of power. The 787 can generate 1.45 megawatts of electricity. To put that in perspective, that is 4 times more than a 777 and enough to power hundreds of homes. It's basically a flying power station.
And that brings us to the final piece of this incredible puzzle. You can't have a revolutionary plane without revolutionary engines. This is the heart of the Dreamliner.
Let's just start with the headline number because it's a big one. The GNX engines that power most 787s are a jaw-dropping 15% more fuel efficient than the engines that came before them. Now, in an industry where a 1 or 2% gain is celebrated as a huge victory, a 15% leap, well, that's absolutely seismic.
A huge reason for that efficiency is something called its bypass ratio. So what does that mean? Well, for every bit of air that actually goes through the engine's hot core to get mixed with fuel and combusted, 9 times as much air just bypasses the core. It gets scooped up by that giant fan at the front and pushed out the back. It's acting like a massive, incredibly efficient propeller. And that high bypass design has another amazing benefit. It makes the plane dramatically quieter. The 787's noise footprint is a full 60% smaller than jets of a similar size. That means it's a more peaceful ride for you inside, and it's a lot quieter for everyone living on the ground below. And hey, if you've ever looked closely at a 787 engine, you've probably noticed this really cool sawtooth pattern on the back. Those are called chevrons, and they're not just there for looks. They are a brilliant piece of engineering designed to carefully control how the hot air blasting out of the engine mixes with the cooler air around it. And the result? It massively reduces that roaring jet blast noise.
So when you put it all together, the lightweight composite body, those super efficient flexible wings, the all-electric architecture, and those groundbreaking engines, that's when you get the Dreamliner experience. It's not any single one of these things. It's how they all work together in perfect harmony to create a truly better way to fly. The 787 proved that taking a massive $30 billion risk on brand new technology could pay off in ways that change an entire industry. And it really leaves you wondering, doesn't it? What's going to be the next $30 billion bet that changes how we see the world?